If you want to move around freely on your free skates, but something just isn't clicking, it's probably because you're making one or all of the mistakes mentioned in this video. So definitely stick around until the end because I will be sharing tips I have not mentioned in other videos. So when you first see free skates online, it's usually like this picture perfect version of somebody who's already mastered the art of pumping. For beginners, this can be really frustrating, especially if you've been at this for a while, like over a month. This video is meant to help you finally learn how to pump, opening the door to progress even further with your free skating. Find a decline. Please find a decline to practice your pumping. It's going to give you that speed you need to stay upright, and honestly, if you don't find that decline, then you might as well throw the rest of this video in the trash. You're a skateboarder. Okay, I don't actually have a problem with skateboarders, but when it comes to free skates, you really can't rely on your instincts coming from other rides, like longboarding, skateboarding, or ripsticks. The free skating pump relies on pointing your toes in and your toes out. So just try your best to keep your feet flat and point those toes together and apart. Now, this is where some more experienced free skaters might point out that, yes, there is a lean in the pumping technique, but we'll get to that later in this video. Okay, so on the subject of leaning, not only should you not lean your skates, but also leaning your body causes one major issue. You start to turn. Now, if your goal is to learn how to turn on free skates, then there you go. It's going to be a combination of pointing those toes and then leaning in a particular direction. But since the goal here in this video is learning how to pump, leaning your body is actually doing you a disservice. If you lean, the toes in, toes out motion will translate to this. If you keep your body upright, the motion is going to translate to this, which is what you want. But you may be experiencing some discomfort with this whole learning to pump thing, probably because you have too wide of a stance. Now, it's important to be careful here because putting your skates too close together will create a possibility for slipping to one side, so definitely don't do that. But I will say, in general, having your feet around shoulder width apart and not too much farther than that is going to loosen things up and allow you to manipulate the skates a heck of a lot more easily. Even if you do this though, you may find that one leg is contributing more to the pump than the other leg, or just one leg isn't doing anything at all. This is a problem for a number of reasons. First of all, you may find that one leg is becoming disproportionately sore. Also, think about it, if only one leg is doing the work, this whole pump is going to be asymmetrical, and that's just not what we want. So how do we fix it? A hugely important thing here is going to be weight distribution. Try and keep your body in between both skates. The way you can do this is look down at both your skates and make sure you're not hovering over one leg more than the other. Also, if, for example, your back leg isn't really doing much of the work, I'd recommend hopping off your skates and only using your back leg, and then try moving forward like a skateboard and see if you can get it to turn along with you. Next, I would recommend hopping back on both skates and really force yourself to not use your comfortable leg anymore. Teaching this other leg how to pump is going to be crucial to everything else in free skating, so I'd recommend practicing this as much as you can as soon as you can. So in my experience, this next mistake is very common for beginner free skaters, and it has everything to do with pointing your toes in and pointing your toes out. But to fully explain this, I think it's important to understand the reason the skates are angled the way they are. So if you imagine the range of motion your ankles have when it comes to pointing your toes in and pointing your toes out, you can actually point your toes a lot further out than you can in. So putting the skates at a 15-degree angle will actually put your toes right in the sweet spot of where your toes need to be. This way, no matter how big your stride are on your free skates, they're always going to be symmetrical and even every time. What I see a lot of beginner free skaters doing is they are very good at one of these strides, but not the other. So let's break this down into 3 segments. One is going to be center, one is going to be toes all the way in, and the last is going to be toes all the way out. For many people, I see they are very good at rolling straight down a hill, and then they're also very good at pointing their toes together, achieving position 1. And then what happens next is they think they're doing toes out, but in reality, all the toes out is doing is bringing them back into center, but not quite into position number 2. So they start in the center, go to toes in, they go toes out just far enough to get back to center, and then they fall back into position 1. What you need to do is start in the center, go all the way into position 1, all the way into position 2, and then you have a full symmetrical pumping motion. I think this can be pretty easily diagnosed by just looking down at your skates and assessing whether or not you're fully achieving these 2 pumping positions. Before we get into one of the most important parts of this process, I feel like we need to talk about a harsh truth, which is all about the time you're choosing to put into this. With free skating, skateboarding, or literally any other thing on wheels, the name of the game is going to be hours put in with your practicing. If you watch a tutorial, go outside and practice pumping for 10 minutes, of course you can expect to learn how to free skate. It's just not how this works. So before we get into the rest of this video, I just want you to know that this is going to be about time, and also that it is just so worth it once you learn how to pump. So please don't give up, and let's move on to the next tip. So after following all the advice so far, a lot of you may have already reached this stage, which is you have the motion, but for some reason it's not giving you speed. Now it's time to learn the final step, which is learning to apply the pressure correctly. And I think in order to do this, we can take some pointers from inline skating. When you're slaloming on inlines, or just in general, if you're pushing off on inlines or roller skates, you're actually going to be pushing out from side to side. And that push is going to be at an angle. Because that skate is at an angle and you're pushing to the side, that's actually going to also translate to forward movement. When you look at free skates, it's actually no different. When you start to apply this outward pressure, that's when it's going to translate to forward movement. And the harder you push in that direction as you point your toes in and out, the faster you're going to go. Now this is jumping ahead, but if we're going to get really advanced with this, you can also do this in the opposite direction in order to slow down. And that's a technique called reverse pumping. I genuinely hope this tutorial helped you out. Let me know if you have any questions in the comments below, and click on this video if you want to learn more about free skating.